Welcome to Damn Good Movie Memories with your host, Brian Davis. This podcast is the cure for your long commute and super boring workday. Hey there, welcome back to another episode of Damn Good Movie Memories. This is your host, Brian Davis. For this week's episode and next week, we're going to get into Disney movies. For this week, we're going to do animated Disney films, our favorites. Next week, we will do our favorite non-animated Disney movies. All right, I have a top 10 list, which was very difficult because I think there's way more. Well, actually, that's not true. There's a lot of great non-animated Disney movies as well, but to blend in the Pixar movies, which we are counting on this episode, with the classics is difficult, but I did my best, and some non-obvious choices are in here, so let's go with my top 10 list now. All right, number 10 for my list of favorite animated Disney movies is The Great Mouse Detective from 1986. Now, the mid-'80s, actually most of the 80s, was kind of a dark period for Disney when it came to animated films. It wasn't really until The Little Mermaid in 88 that they had this incredible run of really top-notch animated films. That being said, I always thought The Great Mouse Detective was one of the more underrated films to come out of the era, and I really enjoyed it because it's essentially an animated version of Sherlock Holmes. Even the main character, Basil, is named after Basil Rathbone, who of course played the Holmes character on film throughout the 1940s. Basil's nemesis, Professor Ratigan, is based on Professor Moriarty from the original Holmes novels and is voiced by Vincent Price. So if you enjoy Sherlock Holmes, and of course if you love Disney movies, you should definitely check this out. Number 9 is The Rescuers from 1977. So I've always thought that The Rescuers is probably the most underrated of all the Disney animated films. Part of this might be because I'm a huge Bob Newhart fan, but the story is truly great and loads of fun. In addition to Newhart, other voices in the film include Ava Gabor, Geraldine Page, and Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan played Fibber McGee in the old-time radio show. So if you're a younger Disney fan who thinks The Little Mermaid is a super old Disney movie, you might want to check out The Rescuers for even an older movie. Number 8 is Pinocchio from 1940. Now, I realize when I'm doing this list, I'm like, Pinocchio is at 8? It should be lower, but there's so many other great movies, it's really tough to narrow down to one. That being said, I did a little research, and I probably saw Pinocchio for the first time when it was re-released at theaters in 1984. And so that was the thing about animated Disney films before the advent of home video. You had to wait till it was re-released to the theaters, and it was a huge money-making scheme, if you want to call it that, for Disney, because they would end up making tons of money again on old films because people hadn't seen it in a really long time, and this is one of them. And I still love the movie. I loved the movie then. I enjoy it today, and I pretty much remember when this finally came out on VHS in the late 80s, about being very happy about my mom getting this. Interestingly enough, it's actually one of the longer classic animated Disney films at 88 minutes in length. Number 7 is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs from 1937. This was the first full-length animated film to be released by Disney, and it's still one of the best animated Disney films and definitely one of my favorites. Of course, I always loved the scenes with the dwarves, while my sister likely enjoyed Snow White more. So my fondness of Disney movies and classic era movies in general came from my mom, as you can go back and listen to in the Meet the Parents episode. She made sure that we had every classic animated Disney film on VHS if it was available. And so when growing up, we always had these, wealth of riches when it came to VHS movies. But of course, she would also take us and, my sister and I to the theater to see these when they were re-released, as I had mentioned on the Pinocchio pick. All right, but according to my research, I probably saw this in 1983 for the first time when it was re-released. But at the time of its original release in 1937, it was the highest grossing sound film ever, which is amazing. And if you adjust those numbers for inflation, it's currently ranked at number 10 as the highest grossing film of all time. Number 6 is Dumbo from 1941. Dumbo is one of the shortest of the animated Disney classics with a runtime of only 64 minutes. It also has one of the saddest moments in any Disney movie when Dumbo's mother is locked up and Dumbo is forced to perform in the circus on his own. I tell you, Disney movies back in the 40s, maybe it was because of World War II, they were definitely grittier than they are today. However, adversity is what makes the early Disney movies so interesting, and it's awesome because once Dumbo meets his buddy, Timothy the Mouse, the movie takes some unexpected turns, like the two getting drunk by accident and seeing pink elephants while being drunk. I don't think that would ever happen in today's sort of Disney films. Kids are not as tough as they used to be. I seriously doubt any scene like this would ever get released today. So go back, watch the original Dumbo. Number 5 is Monsters, Inc. from 2001. So for a while, pretty much, I kind of lost interest really in the Disney movies in the early 90s when it started to take off again. Part of it was I was a teenager and The Little Mermaid being played over and over again in my house, along with The Lion King and those type of movies. Just I kind of got turned off them. I enjoy them now, but back then it was just like, okay, I'm done. I'll watch the classics every now and then, but I just didn't get into them. And so at first, I had to be dragged to see Monsters, Inc. by a former girlfriend because she couldn't wait to see this in the theater. However, halfway through the movie, I actually thanked her for making me go. Monsters, Inc. is totally entertaining with Billy Crystal and John Goodman. It gets no better than that, and I'm surprised it took so long to make a sequel. Well, actually, it was a prequel to the original film, but Pixar did 12 years later. All right, we're getting into the nitty-gritty. Number 4 is The Incredibles from 2004. Now, on any given day, this actually could be one of my favorite Pixar movies or Disney movies because the characters are so well developed, you can't help but want to watch this movie over and over again. And it's really hard to believe it's been over 10 years since the original was released, but supposedly a sequel is in the works. But that's a great thing about animation, so it's not like the characters will have to worry about aging, except for maybe their voices. Oh well. But back to the original movie, the voice stars are Craig T. Nelson, Holly Hunter, Jason Lee, and Samuel L. Jackson. If you don't know the story already, the Incredibles are a family of superheroes who are trying to live quietly in the suburbs, but must divulge their powers when an evil villain threatens to destroy their world. As for their powers, Mr. Incredible, played by Nelson, has super strength, just like Superman. Elastigirl, played by Holly Hunter, can stretch her body like rubber. Violet can turn invisible, and Dash has, guess what? Super speed. Number 3 is kind of a cop-out, but it's partly the reason these are put at number 3 is because they're all good, and so there's no way to really pick and choose. So I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to put all 3 Toy Story movies at number 3. They kind of dilute each other. That doesn't take away for how good they are. They very easily could be number 1, but Toy Story really changed the animated film industry in the mid-1990s because Pixar Studios is a force to be reckoned with, and this was the first movie released by Pixar, and it pretty much started an unprecedented streak of high-quality animated films, and that continues to this day. What makes Toy Story so good are that the characters and the voice talent are top-notch. You have Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Don Rickles, Jim Varney, John Ratzenberg, and Annie Potts. And even though this film is now well over 20 years, kids still watch and follow these characters like they're brand new, and that is the power of Disney. All right, number 2 is Peter Pan from 1953. This is quite possibly, in my opinion, one of the most perfect Disney films. It's not super long. I think it's like 78 minutes, which is perfect. That was the great thing about Disney. Everything was concise. No scene is wasted, and he was a master at that. I remember being super excited when my mom finally took me to see this in the movie theater when it was re-released. And, I had the old book and record sets, and so I'd known the story, but to actually see it was like an incredible experience. Eventually, it was released on VHS, and we would watch it all the time. So yeah, number 2, Peter Pan. All right, we've reached the number 1 pick. This has been tough, but I'm going to pick something that absolutely nobody doing this list would pick, and I'm going to pick Robin Hood from 1973. I love this as a kid. This was my all-time favorite Disney movie. I still enjoy it to this day. The voice characters are amazing. You have Peter Ustinov, who is so funny as King John. He's the tiger that sucks his thumb when he doesn't get his way. Phil Harris plays Little John. Phil Harris was, of course, in the Jungle Book. He was originally known as a terrific sidekick on the Jack Benny program back in the 1930s and 40s. It's just a really well done animated Disney film, and most people forget about it, which is a shame. So, I mean, this was my introduction to Robin Hood, and this was the one I would watch over and over again. Then eventually I would discover the, Adventures of Robin Hood from the 30s with Errol Flynn, and that's amazing. But I still go back to this one because it's so much fun. So, apologies to Kevin Costner and Russell Crowe's version, but your versions are just inferior compared to the 1973 version. So anyway, these are our picks. We hope you enjoy them. We're going to find out what everyone else has to say in this week's episode. All right, Enrique's back.
Hello.
And she's married.
I'm married.
Congratulations again.
I hope we did it right.
Of course you did.
Our officiant was like, so usually I'm given like an actual copy of the marriage license, not like a photo copy.
Uh-huh.
So hopefully this works. And we were like, okay. We just paid for a really big party.
Let's hope. Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. I'm sure it worked. And,
that's the hope.
Yes. All right. So on to more fun things.
Yes.
We're going to talk about Disney movies.
Yay! I love Disney movies.
This is right up your alley. And this week we're going to talk about animated Disney films only.
Okay.
There may be some controversy. But,
why?
Well, I won't get in. We'll see if you actually do the pick or not. Because there might be an animated scene in a live action movie, and you think I know where I'm going with that. So we'll see. We'll see what you picked.
Okay. Well, mine are kind of straightforward.
Okay.
My favorite Disney movie of all time is The Lion King, and I love it so much. I love the music. The music is the best music of any Disney movie ever. I think probably will ever be. It's just so good. So Lion King is absolutely my favorite animated.
This is good because we did different age ranges, and so definitely when you grew up, Lion King was at its peak.
It came out, I think, the year I was born.
Yeah.
Or 94 it came out. So I was like 3 years old.
Yeah.
And it was perfect for me. Like I loved it. Oh, I love Lion
So you owned it, and there was a nonstop loop type of thing?
Yeah. And you know why I love Lion King? Because, well, it was animals. So there were no like princesses.
No.
I didn't really identify with like the princess story.
So no Little Mermaid, no Beauty and the Beast.
I liked Beauty and the Beast because she was like smart. She's like book smart, and I was very book smart. But Little Mermaid, I didn't identify with her just like incessant desire to have a man. It just wasn't my jam, and I didn't identify with her at all. So I found it kind of stupid. And I didn't like at the end of Little Mermaid how she just like made the decision to leave her family.
Right. Yeah. Their whole undersea family.
I identify very much with my family, and I wouldn't sacrifice that much for a husband. I don't know. Sorry, Karen.
That'd be. Are you guys still married? No, that's
still married. Yeah. Whole week.
So Enrique's Disney movie, how would that go? So,
my Disney movie? I don't know. I think I identify a lot with Moana.
Okay, yeah.
Like, she's, I think, the character that I identify with the most. Which is cool, because that's a new one.
It's a more recent film, yeah.
Is it Disney or is it Disney Pixar?
We're counting Pixar.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool, yeah. I think Moana, then, is my spirit animal.
That's the one.
So the story of Moana would be, like, my Disney movie.
Okay, that's perfect.
She's my fave. But yeah, people have talked about Moana being like the Little Mermaid in reverse. Like, she is land bound and wants to explore the sea.
Yeah.
And the Little Mermaid is sea bound and wants to explore land.
Right.
And like, the Little Mermaid leaves her family in the end, but Moana like comes back to her family. I also like how Moana doesn't have a love interest. Like, I get really annoyed with Disney movies and how they kind of make the woman or the young girl's trajectory all about like getting married and finding
they have
prince.
A template, yes.
So I don't like hate that template.
Sure.
It's fun, but I identify more.
No, I get that. Some of it is the template that was built into fairy tales in general.
Totally.
And especially the early stuff like Snow White, and they have to go with that. So.
And it's very interesting, you know, a lot of these, the Grimm, the Brothers Grimm fairy tales that kind of, the original Grimm Brothers fairy tales weren't so sexist. A lot of sexist isn't the right word, but like, I don't know.
It's cliche.
The arc wasn't so predictable.
Yeah.
The Grimm brothers were actually linguists.
Yeah.
So they were very interesting with the way they worded things, and the fairy tales were told very lyrically.
Yeah.
And I think when with Walt Disney and his like adaptation of these in the 30s from 40s, there was a lot of like anti-Semitism sentiment, a lot of nationalist sentiment.
Definitely at the time. Yeah.
So there was a lot of like changing the original Brothers Grimm and the kind of the dark nature of them, the more thought-provoking nature of them to be a little more cliche, a little more like
and as we found,
Americana, you know.
As we've heard more about Walt Disney, he wasn't as good of a guy.
No,
as he was made out to
I think
be,
that was clear. I mean, from a lot of like the racism and
Yeah.
Semitism. I mean, it's unfortunate, but there were some good ones.
Oh, there were some great ones.
And
I mean,
like the team of artists
amazing.
are incredible. So they really, although they were given a template to work with, kind of push the boundaries and exercise a little, like with the Aristocats, which is one of my favorites.
Very underrated.
Came out in '69, so it was like the heart of like the jazz and like marijuana era. There's all these drug references. It's like it's funny as hell.
Disney was dead by then, so maybe that's why they got away with it.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was like the liberation of the artists. And a lot of the Disney movies in the 60s, like Dumbo as well.
Dumbo's in the 40s.
Oh, that was early.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Dumbo's great
someone else.
because there's a drunk scene. There's no way they could do that today. Like if they were, because they drank some, I don't know what it was, but
it wasn't like it just had like XXX on the bottle or something. Yeah.
So it's implied. And then him and the mouse, Timothy. Are seeing the dancing elephants and things like that, so, which is a great scene. So,
it is so good, and you know, I love all that Disney, all the older Disney stuff.
I'm glad you mentioned the Aristocats because there's a lot of like weird era, you know, where you have the Aristocats and the Rescuers and Sword in the Stone, and they're really good, and people forget about them.
They are good. Oh, I love the Aristocats. I love Everybody Wants to Be a Cat. Great tune, so good. There's some like making fun of Chinese people. But other than but other than that, it's fabulous. And also kind of the female cat has this sensuality about her that's like kind of interesting, and she's confident, and that's cool. That's cool. Instead of like that damsel in distress thing.
True. So what are the other ones that, because you mentioned, I'm glad you mentioned the Aristocats, but what are the other ones?
Well, the ones about animals.
Well, pretty much most of them have some sort of animal.
Yeah, I love the animal when animals are like. I love allegory, so Lion King I love. Aristocats I love. I like Beauty and the Beast quite a bit. I watch that one a lot.
Okay.
She was the only like person character, female character in Disney that I identified with. Yeah. The 90s were kind of like a big.
That was the resurgence. In the 80s, there weren't a lot.
Yeah.
And then once 88 hit with Little Mermaid, they went on a great streak.
Yeah. And that was my childhood.
Which is perfect.
So, like the 90s, I have all of them on like VHS in their little foam packaging.
Giant,
Bambi.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I love Bambi. I love Bambi because of the designer, the artist who created that world was this Japanese artist who was just stunning, like an incredible artist. Yeah. And a lot of the original paintings and work that inspired kind of the aesthetic that became Bambi has this just ethereal Japanese art to it that is just so attractive to me. So between the artistic elements and the animals, of course, clearly that is what I like. That made me fall in love, and
because there are no humans in that. The humans actually are the ones that cause all the destruction, but you barely see them.
It's really just this ode to nature, and I am very drawn to that.
I just watched Snow White not too long ago, and you could tell that the template of Thumper actually started in Snow White.
Oh yeah, totally.
Which is always cool to see throughout
them
each film.
Reuse the same templates. Yeah. They do that too. There's some witch characters that they reuse the same.
Definitely.
Like face the witch in Snow White. Was reused for Emperor's New Groove. What was her name? She was a fabulous villain.
Yeah. I can't think of it.
I don't remember.
But especially
Esme,
back then.
Esmeralda? No, Ismerize or something. I have to look it up. I think it's Ismay.
Okay.
Oh, I love it. Emperor's New Groove is another favorite.
That's a good one. That's a newer one.
That was a newer one. I remember rewatching Emperor's New Groove 5 times with my best friend in having a sleepover, rewatching it 5 times with Sun Chips. I remember the sun chips.
It's funny what you remember.
I know. Well, I remember the sun chips
Uh-huh.
because we were eating them while we were in bed,
Mhm.
gonna go to sleep after watching Man Prisoner Group
Yeah.
5 times, and we fell asleep eating the sun chips. And when we woke up, there were sun chips all in the bed, and it was disgusting.
Well, you don't eat in bed. So yeah.
Exactly. So that's why I remember that. But I love that movie. I watched it so many times. Another really good music. Good music in that one.
So I'm trying to think of other animal ones that you probably liked. Did you like 101 Dalmatians?
No, I think I didn't like that one as much. I did. I watched it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I watched them all a lot.
Oh, well, sure. Yeah.
As a kid. But I didn't like that one because I think it made me really sad.
About the dogs and everything.
About the puppies being skinned.
Sure.
For some reason, I liked Bambi because the destruction was implied and it wasn't actively seen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all from the perspective of these creatures who are always protecting themselves and protecting nature from humanity.
Right.
Where in 101 Dalmatians, it's very much like these are domesticated animals that are being hunted, and the people are all kind of very important.
Well, yeah. And then Lady and the Tramp. I don't know if you like.
That was a little before my time, so I only watched it.
Oh, mine too.
When did it come out?
54?
50,
yeah.
50 something. I also didn't like the heteronormativity of it, I think. Okay. To put it, in an annoying millennial term. Yeah. But yeah, again, all of the stories that have that kind of boy
typical
meets
art
girl didn't resonate with me, even as a child.
Interesting.
Which is really weird because my personality is obviously consistent. I'm still not really. I like funny romantic comedies today, but that historical arc is not something I ever was drawn to. I guess I was the little girl running around pretending to be Jessie from Free Willy.
Yep.
Which we might need to talk about next.
Is that considered a Disney movie?
I think it is Disney.
Okay, well, we'll talk about it.
We'll talk next. Yeah. Pretending to be a boy, playing the harmonica, wanting to ride on whales. Me and animals and nature. I was this little girl growing up in the country. I was outside all the time, barefoot in the stream, making mud puddles. And, that was my identity. Yeah. So these, the little princess girls from, who never really had that didn't resonate with me at all. Right. I was more adventurous and outdoorsy and connected to nature, which is probably why the animals spoke.
So did you like Fox and the Hound?
Yes, I did. It was very, very sad, though.
It is.
A lot of these very sad ones from the 50s.
This was from the 80s. This was 81. Really? Yeah.
It uses the same aesthetic as
it does.
Lady and the Tramp, some of those older ones, and Bambi and stuff.
Yeah.
But I watched Fox and the Hound, again, all very sad.
Yeah.
The sad ones really didn't. But for some reason, Bambi, although sad, didn't.
Yeah, that was a bummer. Definitely the mom. But
it was more uplifting overall.
Yeah, because he's growing up. So.
Right.
Yeah.
But the Fox and the Hound was really devastating.
Well, even Dumbo's sad because they walk up his mom. And
there's always elements of sadness.
Yeah.
But for some reason, Fox and the Hound had an overwhelming sad ending, just a sad story.
Right.
So that one I didn't like as much.
Sure.
But yeah.
See, you still do like a happy arc, so that's
I like happy animals.
Yeah.
That go on adventures.
I think we should end it on that. That is the way we should put it. Thank you, Enrico. Okay, we're back with Samantha. Welcome back.
Hello, thank you.
So for this week, we're going to talk about our favorite animated Disney films. And while we were walking to the conference room, we were deciding when's the last time we saw an animated Disney film. And so
I know
we might have to go back in the archives for you.
So yeah, and I'm like, this is movie memories. So we're going back into my horrible memory to try and remember my childhood, but no.
But when you do research, it all comes back. So
and thinking of it, one of the biggest movie genres of my childhood were Disney movies, because I'm a 90s kid, so it was the rebirth of all of the Disney stuff and the huge commercialization of everything. I had Disney themed everything. Like, and for Halloween each year I was a different princess. So
okay, so you got to tell us about that.
The whole thing.
What were the princesses you actually dressed up as?
Distinctly, I remember doing Snow White and then Belle from Beauty and the Beast.
Okay, yeah.
Because when I was little, I also had the same hair I have now. So I had a bob. So I could do like the little Snow White. I looked like a little Snow White.
Yeah.
Because I was pale and I had the dark hair. So I think my mom just thought it was cute.
Yeah.
And then I think I was older and I did Belle, like the whole like yellow dress and everything. I was a big like into princesses. I love dress up.
Right.
So I remember those two for sure. I don't know if I did others. Then I just started dressing like a witch.
So then you could have played the evil stepmother.
Yeah, but I think I had even like the little lunchbox, and I had all the Disney themed like school stuff.
So what was the craziest thing you had that you can remember?
I don't know. Like, this is too much.
No, this is Disney overload and memory overload.
Too much memory.
Okay, we're just going to go into the movies then. So what is your list of, at least what would be the movies you would now watch and still have fond memories over?
So I definitely still remember Beauty and the Beast. I think of the animated group, that was probably the one I watched the most. And it really like came back to me when I watched the live action one.
Yeah.
They came out recently, and I remembered all the songs, and I think I even saw like Beauty and the Beast on Ice.
Oh, really?
In, like, San Jose, they always do they had all the Disney on Ice shows, and I went to all of those. So I saw that for sure when I was a kid. But yeah, that one, I loved it. I just saw the little songs, and I like how Belle is just a smart young lady, and I think she was a good influence on me when I was a kid. The whole Beast thing is weird.
Yeah. Well, did you ever watch the TV show version? This was actually before I think they made the animated version. They had one in the 80s with the woman that was in the Terminator. God, what's her name? Linda Hamilton. She's in it.
Really?
Yeah, and then the guy was in Hellboy. It was Ron Perlman. So yeah, yes, he played the Beast. So yes, you might have to go back and look at that one.
I had no clue. Yeah, I just watched the
Disney version.
The Disney had that VHS just on all the time. I think Lion King I watched a lot. And then also like mid-90s was when all the Pixar stuff started coming out, and I have a little brother, so Toy Story was really big in our house. Like, I watched the first Toy Story movie dozens of times. Like, we thought it was the coolest thing, because it was the, it was the first Pixar, and it was the first of that style, and he loved like Buzz and Woody and all that, and I remember we were always scared by the evil kid and how he would like manipulate and create his own little dolls. There was like the doll head with the robot legs.
It is kind of creepy when you look back.
Yeah, it was kind of a creepy kids movie.
But you really did come in the prime era, you and Enrica, because when I grew up, I was in the 80s, and so Disney had kind of fallen off.
Yeah,
like there really wasn't that
you had
much.
the classics,
yeah,
but nothing really.
It kind of tailed off in the 70s, and then the 80s, it was stuff like The Fox and the Hound and Black Cauldron, and then finally, once Little Mermaid came, they went on a nice run.
Yeah, so. I just noticed that came out at the end of '89.
Yeah,
so practically the 90s.
Yeah,
that was.
And then
that's another one I watched a lot.
The Little Mermaid. Yeah, I
really liked The Little Mermaid. I thought it was always weird though, because my dad is named Eric, and then it's Prince Eric in that one.
You're like, I can't get behind that.
No, gross.
And also, that's Enrica didn't like it because she basically left her family in the sea and just kind of abandoned them. You know?
So I don't know. Little Mermaid wasn't my top one, but Beauty and the Beast for sure.
Yep.
Lion King. I not as much. I think just the songs from The Lion King really stuck around. So a lot of these, just the songs, I think you associate more than like
the actual movie.
Like, I don't know the last time I saw the movies, but you can still remember.
Yeah, Elton John's in that one, right?
Yeah. And then
Phil Collins is in Tarzan.
Yeah, there's just so many now. I'm like Pocahontas. Hercules.
Yep.
Mulan. I loved all of them. I saw Mulan way too many times.
So of the classic ones, the ones back in the 40s and 50s, did you get into any of those?
Yeah, I did. I had all of them.
Okay.
So I think I really liked Cinderella.
Yep.
And then
I like what they did with Gus Gus and all of the little characters.
Yeah, it was really cute. I always liked it. And then, going to Disneyland as a kid and then having the castle there was just really cool. And Snow White as well. I think Snow White and Cinderella were the big two. I didn't like Dumbo and Bambi, not so much.
Yeah.
I think I was scared of Dumbo.
Really?
Yeah, I remember watching it. And I don't know if I got through the whole thing, but it scared me.
It is kind of sad. I mean, they put Dumbo's mom in a cage, and then they also have the crazy psychedelic they get drunk scene, and the dancing elephants and everything. So yeah, I mean, it's funny what kids remember. So
yeah, there's Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cinderella comes to mind. I just thought I liked that story.
Yeah.
And she gets her magical makeover with her pretty dress, and then she goes to the ball.
So it fits what you were into as a kid.
I liked the extreme princess.
That's okay. So you went from extreme princess to witchy, like witchy movies, Hocus Pocus and things like that.
Always has a little fantastical.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the classics. What else? None of the really... Yeah, nothing really came out in the 60s.
So you didn't get into 70s. Jungle Book or 101 Dalmatians?
Not really. I know I watched the animated 101 Dalmatians, but I'll mention in the live.
Yeah, okay. We'll get into that one. Yes.
I liked that. I loved the live action.
Actually, Enrique did too. So. All right. So, are there? Those are the ones that stood out for you.
We rattled them off.
Okay.
I think we got through most of the animated. I think modern, the more modern releases, I don't watch anymore.
Yeah.
So there's no recent favorites.
No Frozen for you.
I never watched Frozen.
I still haven't seen it either. Nobody's mentioned Frozen yet, which I'm kind of surprised.
In protest, I'm a horrible person. I'm just not going to watch it. Everyone watched it.
It is funny about Disney, since they've been around so long. It just, depending the age of the person you talk to, you're going to get my mom would say the early ones. I'm going to say, whatever, the 70s ones or the 60s ones. And then...
Because you see things as a kid that really stick with you, and then you watch them over and over if you can, because you love them so much.
That's right.
So there's Disney for you.
That's right. There is branded in America as McDonald's. So.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Samantha. All right. For this week, Brian is back. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah. So we had fun last week. We did the sequels, we actually did 2 episodes, so there was a sequel to the sequels. But for this week, we're going to do our favorite animated Disney films. And depending what era you grew up in, it's going to be an interesting mix of picks. So you always do a list most of the time.
Most of the time I like to do a list if I have time to prepare. If I'm a good guest, I prepare.
So this is good. So you have
about 5? 4 or 5. Yeah. So I have a favorite, and then I have I listed a top 4, but I don't really know that they're in order.
Okay.
So I'll start with the other 3, and then I'll go to my favorite. So one of them is Fantasia, which is not really a movie, I guess. I mean, it's just a bunch of shorts spliced together as one theme of, cartoons designed around classical music.
Right.
And I like it because it's just kind of unusual, trippy. I don't know. The animation's pretty brilliant for the time.
Yeah, I mean 1940. So
yeah. And I saw a restored version of it, and it was pretty beautiful with the color restoration and everything.
So how old were you when you first saw it?
I must have saw it on cable TV at my grandparents' house, so it was probably in the 80s, I guess.
So were you bored at all when you were a kid?
I think there are parts of it that I was bored by, but yeah, I don't remember. I think maybe it's the Night on Bald Mountain one, which just kind of goes on and on.
Yeah.
I'm into classical music enough that I like it.
Yeah.
probably as a kid I was more bored by it before I got more into the music. But, yeah.
So I definitely fell asleep in the theater because they always re-released Disney movies.
I could see that happening in the theater. If I were a kid, I probably might have fallen asleep.
But by far my favorite scenes were with Mickey Mouse because they kind of advertise it. Mickey Mouse is the wizard, but he's barely in it. Yeah. So, but yeah, I definitely appreciate it more now. The music's excellent. I mean, it's definitely a labor of love for Walt Disney, but it's 2 hours too.
Yeah, it's kind of long. Yeah, it's not. I don't know. It's barely a kids movie in that regard. It's long and there's no dialogue.
No.
It's just music and and I did see the Fantasia 2000, which I liked maybe one or two of the cartoons they did for there. The Rhapsody in Blue, Gershwin, but the rest of it was kind of okay.
Yeah, it's
kind of neat, but it was like it was kind of like a gimmick they didn't need to go back to.
Sure. I think it was straight to DVD anyway, right? So.
I did see it in the theater.
Oh, did
you?
Yeah,
maybe it was just like a very limited release or something. Because they had the two, I think, back to back or something like that. So I don't remember if
That's a lot of Fantasia.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot. I think I just saw the second one, the Fantasia 2000 in the theater.
Cool.
Another is Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just one of those when I always liked it. I read the original Alice's Adventures in Wonderland as a kid, liked the book, and then I really liked the Disney adaptation of it. It's just sort of goofy and strange. I don't know.
No, it is. It's really well done.
Yeah, and it's I like all the animation of that era. I guess was it the 50s or maybe early 60s of that one?
Yeah, I think it was the 50s.
Yeah. So I mean, all the classic Disney animation was great. You can't really go wrong with it. It's just a matter of whether you like the stories or not, whether they resonate with you. I mean, I remember even Bambi being like the animation being great, but it wasn't a movie that I really it's like it doesn't
need to rewatch it all.
Yeah, it's like okay, it was good.
And the voice acting is always very good. They're not unlike today where you have to get the stars to do voice acting. These weren't usually well-known people.
Yeah, so on that note, Aladdin, which I think kind of kicked it off for the celebrity voice acting.
Yeah,
because Robin Williams was so integral to that movie. I mean, it was all about him. I think, and the movie, it was good on its own right, but I think he really kind of carried it to another level of I don't know, memorability or something like that.
Definitely. Some of the earlier ones, and they were already on my list, like The Rescuers had like Bob Newhart and Ava Gabor.
Oh, so was Rescuers also? That was
77. So
and that was Disney too. Okay.
Yeah.
God, so a lot of the animated, because sometimes I get confused with the 80s animated. There's like the Don Bluth animation movies, and those weren't Disney, but the animation kind of looked similar in some of those. Like Disney maybe tried to copy Bluth. I think Bluth actually came from Disney and then went on his own. Right. So so sometimes I kind of get confused about who did what. But yeah.
And the other famous one, and this is only if you follow old time radio, is Phil Harris did the voices for. I think it was a Baloo or whoever.
Yeah, so that's
Jungle Book. Yeah, there you go.
Number one is Baloo.
Sorry to give it away.
No, it's fine. Jungle Book was my number one. I think I like the animation style of that one is one of my favorites of any of the Disney. It has kind of like this hand drawn look to it, more like hand illustrated rather than just animated. It's hard to describe. I don't think I have the terminology for it, but I just really like the style of that one.
It's also well known for, I think that was Walt Disney's final movie that he oversaw before he died.
Okay.
So
it's definitely in that early Disney realm of his stamp of quality on it. And I love Baloo, so Phil Harris. Louis Prima is one of my favorite singers.
Yeah.
So I loved him as King Louis. It's great.
And then what was it? Did you have one other one?
Actually, I think that was it. There are probably a few others. I mean, I love all the there's Snow White is great. It's not I wouldn't consider it my favorite, but I love the animation. Some of the
and considering it was mid-90s, it was really the first
first one. Yeah, the very first animated feature. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And then the recent, I shouldn't say recent. The ones that came out when I was like junior high school, the late 80s, early 90s. Little Mermaid, Lion King, all those.
Yeah.
And Aladdin's in there too. Sure. But Aladdin is my favorite of that era, but a lot of them were good. I even like Tarzan.
Yeah.
I'm not a Phil Collins fan, but I like the story was pretty good.
It was.
I like Mulan. I don't know. I love Disney
And it'll be interesting if
general,
people throw in the Pixar stuff because I'm allowing Pixar.
Yeah, I decided purposely, I want to mention that, I purposely decided not to include Pixar because they weren't originally part of Disney, and I think all the major releases were Disney, but I didn't think of them as Disney movies.
Sure.
So, and if that were the case, then I would say The Incredibles is my favorite of the Pixar.
Yeah, mine too. Yeah.
I didn't include it on purpose. So.
That's okay. I made sure that it was pretty much everyone had a carte blanche on this.
We could do a Pixar. Favorite Pixar.
Oh, totally. Because Monsters Inc. is great too.
Yeah.
So. Great. Well, great list as always.
Right,
thanks, Brian. So we tried to get her to do the intro, and then she clammed up, which is impossible.
I cannot do it.
You can't do it. All right. So for this week, Danielle is back. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And we're going to talk about animated Disney movies this week. So you have a top 6 list because you don't believe in top 5 lists.
Of course not.
Yes. So let's get into it. What are your top 6 favorite animated Disney films?
Okay, so sorry.
quick. Yeah, it's like my parents' house.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and sixth place. I almost said sixth place. I'm so hungry.
Oh my god.
That's why. On sixth place, it is Frozen.
Really? You're the first person to pick Frozen.
I know, because everybody's fed up with Frozen.
Yeah.
No one can hear Let It Go anymore.
Yeah.
But the first time I don't like the Disney movies, animated.
The new ones.
No, the classic ones. It's everything so musical. Or, it's always like the poor little girl who finds the prince and then her life changes forever.
Well, they're fairy tales.
For who? I mean...
No, but they're classic tale fairy tales.
Yeah, but why? It needs to be always like that. So anyway, it's my show.
Okay, but take it away.
No. My kids loved Frozen.
Sure.
Like, it was like love at first sight. And we bought the DVD, and then we bought like the Amazon movie. They watched it until, oh my goodness, Gabriel already knew the lines. And we have the CD too, and once we had to go to Tahoe, listen that song over and over. But the movie itself, when I saw the first time, and it was enough, not more than that, I like it because it's the songs are very happy. There's like the loss of the parents and the sisters, and the end is cute because not tied to a guy, and that was like a first for me. I was like, oh, finally.
Most princess movies are like that.
So because she's gonna kiss this guy, and she'll be happy forever. And no, it was the sisterhood, and that was super. That was new and that was cute. I like the message. You don't need a guy to be happy.
Sure.
No, it's not that. Like
no,
Cinderella.
There's already a formula to it that they don't have to keep doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I like it because of that. Very good.
Cool. All right. What is your next one?
So the next one is number 5. Yeah. Good.
Thank you.
You can count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Is Tangled.
Tangled, which is basically Rapunzel.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the line of Frozen. For me, it was like the two were very similar. Tangled came first, right? So again, when my daughter when I see Tangled, I was like, oh, here we go, it's Disney, and people were like, oh, it's Rapunzel, and I already knew, oh, it's gonna be Cinderella, it's the Beauty and the Beast all over again. The songs that I went to sleep, and then when I saw it was super cute because it was not the story of Rapunzel, the original. They took different directions, and the songs were very happy. She was very sassy, and it was everything. It was super cute. Yeah. So that's why I like it. I'm not a big fan of Disney movies or stuff like that.
You keep saying that. Then why are you doing this episode?
Excuse me.
It's like, I hate Disney movies.
I don't like it, but I have kids, so I take them to the movies to watch, and I need to watch it too.
Sure. So these are the ones you're dragged to but end up enjoying.
Yes.
That's why I should retitle that.
Yes. Yeah. So the next one that I like is Toy Story.
Number 4.
Yes.
Wait, the first one or all of them?
I like the 3. The
trilogy.
Yes, it was. I mean, come on. Like the last one, I cried. I didn't cry, but I had tears on my eyes because that felt like real life. He's living. It's not even like the toys, but it is like emotional for the toy. But like he's living. That scene was like, whoa! Now we saw since like
his little boy.
Yeah, the Buzz Lightyear came to the house. So there's this whole new. The movie is so well made. There's no repetition, right? So it is a cute movie. We have the movie as well at home. I didn't watch it.
No, but I mean, you have the best voice actors in there too.
Yeah, very nice. And Gabriel wants to go to that place, the burger place, and he keep asking.
Burger King?
No, Burger King. It's like a spaceship kind of burger.
Okay.
Where they get lost, and
I thought it was a Burger King, but I could be wrong.
No, and that look it up in the.
All right. Well, Gabriel dressed up as Buzz Lightyear, didn't he? One year?
He did, and his butt was ripped. Like the customer was ripped in the butt. So he came here to Yahoo for the parade. And he was all shy, all chubby on that tight outfit. So when people saw the butt, the Irma would look at, she was about to say, and I was like, don't. He doesn't know. He's still not knowing. All good.
Yes. Did he ever end up finding out?
No. Even like they're in the video at Yahoo backyard. There's a video of them, and it's not on the back.
And that's good. Just in the front.
All good.
All right, number 2.
So number 2 is The Incredibles.
So you like all the new ones. I love The Incredibles. I think it's arguably one of the best Pixar movies.
Funny. Oh my goodness, it is funny. And the best, I think, like, there's a part that it becomes like very boring when he goes alone, and there's like this charming girl with him, and that kind of more action. And there's the designer. I love the designer. She's super funny. But then
it's really good.
Like the little boy becoming that name, like everything that cracked me up. I remember I was in the movie theater too. Oh my god, that woke me up. Like that was super fun. I like.
They're coming out with a sequel, I think, in 2019.
I know.
So, that'll be good.
I'll have to go in.
Well, yeah, you'll get dragged to that.
Yes.
All right. So I'm curious, what was the number 1 movie?
I cannot laugh. It's Up.
Up.
Yes.
UP.
I know. Up? It's Up.
No, Up. UP.
Yeah. Oh.
That's how you spell it.
I thought there's a UP.
Say yippee. Yoo! It doesn't take much to get Danielle to crack out.
Oh, yeah. Did I say wrong?
No.
Is that a bad word?
Up.
Just
Up. Son of an up.
Yes. Yeah. I know most of the people don't like that movie. They say it's very depressing. They like Ratatouille because, I was asking around, everybody likes Ratatouille and they think it's idiot. But
So why don't you like Ratatouille?
It's rats and mouse on the kitchen. Come on.
But they're cute mice.
Oh, super cute. Yeah. No, there is no such a thing.
Okay.
Cute mouse.
All right, back to Up.
I love that. Up. No, Up.
I think you said app. Like, when was there an app movie?
I think Disney don't need to do the happy, princessy musical kind of movie, and that showed that. The movie was, people liked the movie. It was not like a bad. How do you say, like?
Is this the one where they feel a certain emotion and they're that color? Is that Up? Which one's like that?
That one is the balloon.
Yeah, which one's that? Oh, okay, yeah.
Is the balloon that, it is sad. Like he has this dream with his wife, and it goes the whole relationship. They trying to save money to go to this place.
Okay.
And, it goes through his life, how happy they were, how, a cute couple, and they get older together. So they save money on the little jar, all the change, they put it there. But every time something happens and they need to do, they need to use the money, and then she dies. And there's the scene, it's so emotional. And then he becomes this grumpy guy who has this little house, and now is the city is taken by buildings and they want to kick him out, and so the whole thing is not like that Cinderella that she's jumping around singing, like
we see a
God,
common theme.
fairy, whatever.
You hate fairy tales.
It's more like today, it's more like nowadays story, and it's so emotional and cute, and it's my favorite. And my kids hate it, so there you go.
That's why it's your favorite. All right, well, you chose a list unlike any other, and that's why we have you on.
Are you serious?
Good. Well, yeah, most people pick the classics or whenever they grew up, and so. Yeah.
Okay.
But obviously, as you've repeated numerous times, you don't like Disney movies.
I don't.
So there you go. Thank you for being on.
You're welcome.
All right, we're back without Sarah. It's just Janice. You're going solo. You're Beyonce.
No, I'm not Beyonce.
Without
no.
Destiny's Child? No?
No. I'm actually not that big a Beyonce fan.
Really?
No.
Okay, so who would be your favorite solo artist after they left a very popular group?
That's a girl?
It doesn't have to be a girl.
I was like, are there that many that are girls that went solo? I can't really think of any.
Gwen Stefani?
That's true. That's true.
No doubt, yeah.
I would say Justin Timberlake.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you like the boy bands?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I wasn't that big an NSYNC fan, but still.
Okay, Justin
Anyway.
Timberlake without NSYNC, without Joey Fatone and all those fun guys. Okay, but for this week, we're going to talk about your favorite animated Disney movie.
Oh, so many to pick from.
Yeah.
Lion King jumps to mind. I actually used to love Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah.
I mean, the spaghetti scene. But I think I have to go with the classic, and that's Cinderella.
Yep.
I think that's every little girl's fantasy from the moment she likes boys, is she wants her Prince Charming.
Yep.
She pictures her wedding, and she's got that big ball gown, and then we grow up, and then it's like, oh my God, you don't want to wear a big, poofy dress on your wedding day, but at least growing up, that's what you picture in your head. Like, so many of your fantasies of your future, it comes from that movie.
Right.
And great singing, great songs.
Mm-hmm. And it's also different. It's unique in the sense they bring in the mice, so like Gus Gus.
Yes, Gus Gus.
Yeah.
Love Gus Gus. Him with the cheese and trying to pick up all the pieces of cheese, and he keeps dropping the one. I just picture that scene in my head. I love that scene. Cinderella singing as she's getting ready in the morning.
Yeah.
That's always good times. Gotta love the fairy godmother.
Yeah.
We all wanted a fairy godmother. I didn't really particularly... Well, one of my godmothers died when I was like 5. But it's like we all wanted that fairy godmother that was going to come in and like make you look beautiful instantly.
Yeah.
Of course, that doesn't happen in real life.
But the great thing about, especially the early animated Disney films, they weren't super long. I mean, they were probably 70 minutes, 80 minutes, and it's all packed in, and it's perfect, and you don't feel anything's wasted. You're not bored. Yeah, especially as a kid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I used to love Bambi, too, because I love Thumper. Thumper might be one of my all-time favorite characters. I mean, that little leg. But I'm sorry, it's too early to be teaching kids about death.
Oh, yeah.
I mean... I can't even remember how my mom explained that one to me, but I remember it scarred me for a long time to the point that I couldn't even watch Bambi again because I didn't want to watch Mom die again. So, but
Disney movies were gritty. So, like even in Dumbo, when they take away Dumbo's mom, that's really sad. Old Yeller, which is the live action, they have to kill the
Lion King.
Lion King too. Yeah.
Really, I mean, I get you're trying to teach children, but in some ways, like they can also scar you.
That's right.
I mean,
I don't know if they would have made Bambi the same way today.
Probably not.
Like, yeah.
But then again, I mean, when Simba's father gets killed, I mean,
that's true.
That's pretty graphic.
Circle of life.
Yeah.
All right, Cinderella, great job.
Okay, what about yours?
Well, I already talked about mine. That's the way the podcast works.
Oh,
and so
that's just me.
You're just going to have to listen.
Me. Okay.
That's right. She's let the cat out of the bag. That's
okay.
I have so many, but you'll hear. I'll do a top 10 list.
Okay, there you go.
Thanks, Janice. All right, we're back, and this week we're going to discuss animated Disney films, and we have Malin back, so welcome back.
Hello, thanks.
All right, so how many did you come up with for your favorite animated Disney movies?
How many did I come up with? Favorite animated Disney film, that implies there should only be one, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you can have your top 10 or 20 or whatever you want.
Okay, so, yeah, oh, dang. So I was kind of hoping you would say that, favorite, and you would limit me to only one, because then I wouldn't have to think too hard. I'd just have to think about one, and I wouldn't have to think about all the others. So the problem I was having was I was trying to think, do I want to pick a favorite Disney film from, like, the classic films, from, like, the time when Disney was declining, when it had its renaissance? Or
well, actually, why don't we do one of each?
One of each?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so and then the other part is like which entity. So is Disney slash Pixar? That's if we're assuming that Pixar has been associated with them long enough that we can like think of them as Disney films, and then Disney Touchstone, which
I would say Pixar counts. I'm not so sure about Touchstone.
Oh, see, the funny thing is, I would argue that Touchstone does more than Disney.
Well, there you go.
Or more than Pixar. Sorry.
I think for animated purposes, I'm totally fine with Pixar. If you did pick Roger Rabbit, I'm totally fine with that, even though I think that was Touchstone. But yeah,
it was.
Yeah, I think more for live action, Touchstone came into play, but we kind of avoided those.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I can hold on that one then.
Cool.
Okay, so for Disney classic, I would say Sleeping Beauty. I don't know if that's I don't know why either. I think the Tchaikovsky score really wins me over on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And the Huge Dragon, and Maleficent as an evil baddie, I think is kind of awesome. She's kind of a perfect little witch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think Sleeping Beauty really kind of wins me over.
That's good. That's good because you're the first one to actually pick that as one of their faves. So good one.
Yeah, I kind of thought I would be, and I have a huge sense of insecurity about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm kind of like wondering if I'm missing something that everybody else is seeing in the other ones. Like I like Alice in Wonderland too, and I liked Snow White as a kid, but Sleeping Beauty is the one that I kind of would prefer to go back to if I had like a choice. Like my Disney classic on a remote, isolated island film, it would definitely be Sleeping Beauty.
All right, so then different eras. So that's the classic one that you're gonna pick.
Yeah, and I didn't really prepare for going through each of the different eras, so I'd be kind of irresponsibly putting them together in my head. But I'm thinking maybe the next one in terms of time period, I liked Robin Hood. Also,
oh yeah, yep.
As a kid.
That was my number one pick.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and I don't know what it is about that one. It doesn't really fit in perfectly with the classic ones. Do you know? Okay, I almost asked you if you knew what year it was. I know you know what year it was.
1973.
Yeah, 1973. Okay, so the thing I remember most about it was when I was a kid, I had gotten this huge castle Lego set.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember how many pieces, but for me, I was probably like 4 or 5, and it was just this huge castle, and I was completely obsessed with it. And I stayed up almost all night this one time to put it together for the first time. And I just kept turning on Robin Hood over and over and over again to keep me awake. I think I brainwashed myself with Lego and Robin Hood. And I finally built it in like the middle of the night, and then later, after a while, like days, I guess, I took it apart and I put it back together again. And
yeah. Well, I think
like
Peter Ustinov is so great as King John, who it was like the tiger, and it's a really well done, good way to get into the Robin Hood story if you're a kid, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What else? What else to mention? And then I don't know. I think I could probably skip forward to when does Renaissance start? It kind of starts with either
I would say the Little Mermaid,
or
I would say Little Mermaid. In I think it was
Little Mermaid. Yeah, 89. I was trying to remember the name of it. Yeah, so for Renaissance, I would say Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
Probably just skip through everything from Robin Hood and Beauty and the Beast, maybe with an honorable mention to The Great Mouse Detective, only because of Vincent Price. It's not a great film, but I remember as a kid I was obsessed with Vincent Price being in a Disney film.
I'm glad you mentioned that one too, because that was my number. I did a top 10. That was number 10, and it's just because I love Sherlock Holmes, and it's fun. So
I think I should probably see it again. I remember I saw it again not too terribly long ago, and it fell into the category of those films where you see them later in life and they don't live up to your memories of them.
Sure.
Maybe now that I've gone through that, I can see it again and like it on its own level.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Beauty and the Beast I think is fantastic. I saw the Broadway version of it when it had just come out. I thought that was great too. I'd say that the Beauty and the Beast is the best Broadway adaptation that Disney's done also.
Yeah.
As far as like dark, romantic mystery stories, I think Beauty and the Beast is kind of the best they've done. And it kind of feels like a fairy tale. I don't know. Sometimes they throw things in, either plot-wise or visually, that throws me off. But that's just kind of a cohesive unit. Doesn't.
Yeah. No.
The other thing I think about when I think about Beauty and the Beast, I think I may have mentioned this to you before, is that it's a whole lot better if you listen to the the DVD or Blu-ray with the French soundtrack on.
Oh, really?
The French vocal track, I mean.
Ah.
And that's because the vocals in French actually sound like age-appropriate voices, whereas if you listen to the American version, it may not ring as age inappropriate or kind of shrill, squeaky voices at first, but if you listen to the French version as a comparison, it really makes the American vocals sound like they've sucked on like a lemon, or it's like the Splenda Light version of human voices. It's really kind of a good calibration check.
Interesting. Okay, so if people are listening to this and want a new interpretation of watching a movie you've probably seen a lot, try it in the French version.
Yeah, and if you don't understand French as a language, that's no problem, because if you've seen Beauty and the Beast enough times, you probably don't even need a vocal track to understand what's going on.
Exactly.
And if you're watching the DVD or Blu-ray anyway, you can just turn on the subtitles, and it'll fill you in on things that you may, want to keep up on.
Yeah. That's interesting.
And the voices. Yeah, I think the reason I realized it for the first time was that I don't know why I was watching it with the French vocal track on in the first place, but my husband, who doesn't like musicals and does not like Disney because he has no soul and probably had no childhood, somehow I was able to get him to watch it with the French vocal tracks because it didn't grate on him.
Interesting.
Nearly as much. Weird thing.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so let's go into then Pixar. We'll wrap up animation with Pixar.
Oh, sure. So, Toy Story 1 and 2. Can I include those like as a set?
Oh, absolutely. I included all three as my pick. So.
Okay. I saw 3 once.
Okay.
Don't know why I haven't seen it again, but I couldn't even really tell you anything about it because I remember it that well. Mm-hmm. And I don't use mind enhancing, altering, or decaying supplements. Uh-huh. So that's no excuse.
No.
I think I'm just getting older and I can't remember it. But for whatever reason, I never was tempted to go back and see it again. But Toy Story 1 and 2, like I remember seeing Toy Story 1 when I was in college in Santa Cruz, and I just thought, wow, that was amazing, because I was going into this computer-generated film thinking, oh, well, it couldn't possibly be as good as these other things because it's got this huge gimmick.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was going to try to live up to and beyond the gimmick, because most films, when they introduce a gimmick like 3D or whatever, they're just so obsessed with the gimmick that they don't live beyond that point.
Right.
And this film did such a great job of using a new technology, but then almost forgetting it unless it was absolutely necessary. I was so fantastically overwhelmed and amazed by it, yeah. And then for Toy Story 2, I had been so impressed with Toy Story 1, I thought, oh, well, could never live up to my expectations or memories of Toy Story 1, because Toy Story 1 was just a nostalgia laugh-a-minute riot.
Right.
And then Toy Story 2 took it like 2 steps further. So, yeah, I was just amazed with both of those films. I think they're absolutely fantastic. Oh, and it's got, who is Buzz Lightyear? Who plays his...
Tim Allen.
I just have absolutely no affection for Tim Allen as a performer. Not that I think he's a bad actor,
right,
or that he's got like this horrendous voice, but he just, like, for whatever reason, like, I can't believe I would ever go and see a movie because of Tim Allen. And he keeps surprising me, both with Toy Story and Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, he's actually really good in Galaxy Quest too, and part of it probably has to do with the cast around him too. I mean, you can't go wrong with Tom Hanks, and Don Rickles, I think, plays Mr. Potato Head, and John Ratzenberger. I mean, there's so many great character actors in that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then Joan Cusack doesn't come in until Toy Story 2, right?
I believe you're right, yes. And we've talked about her a lot. She's great.
I'd pay to see anything with Joan Cusack.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't even have to be good. I don't think she's done anything bad, but she's so fantastic.
No, I know. And she's one of the best character actors there are.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Well, this is great. Thank you so much, man.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
All right. If you enjoyed this podcast and are an iTunes user, please do the show a favor and head on over to the official iTunes page for Damn Good Movie Memories. Be sure to leave a rating and a review. This will allow the show to appear higher in the algorithm and spread the joy of this podcast to the masses. If you are not an iTunes user, you can still listen and subscribe on Podbean at damngoodmoviememories.podbean.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook under our Damn Good Movie Memories page. You can also listen to a limited number of episodes on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and be sure to tune in next week for an all-new episode of Damn Good Movie Memories.